Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Welcome again, my dear students, 8th grade students. Here we are again. We are still in Unit 8, Student Book page 89, Workbook page 80. Of course, this is Language Focus 2. Today we will talk about two structures. This is the first one, to plus adjectives, and the second one is not plus adjective and enough. Of course, you can use not or without not, so the adjective plus enough. So, in this lesson, students would be able to recognize the use of to plus adjective and not adjective and enough. Complete the sentence using the suitable structure. Of course, each one of these two structures has a certain meaning. We would be able to recognize the difference in use and use them in sentences. Number 3, produce their own sentences using the new structures. So let's go directly to your student book. I asked you last time to complete the spaces in number 1, which is taken from the listening part on page 88 student book, and of course in number 3, which is again taken from the listening. Of course, just to understand the uses of the two structures, I mean to plus adjective and the adjective with enough, affirmative or negative, we can go straight to page 107. So what do you have in page 107? Here are the rules. We can start with two adjectives. So why do we use two adjective? Two, of course, have a similar meaning to very, but what's the difference between to and very? We often use to before adjectives to say something is more than we want or need, more than needed. It has a negative meaning. So the dog's is too big to sit on that chair. It's too big. It means that we want it to be less or smaller. To goes before the adjective. We are too tired to walk. So that is why it's very difficult to walk. So it's too tired, more than we can do. We can use to plus infinitive after to adjective. Say to, it's too cold to swim. It's too cold to swim. To means here if it's that we can't do something because of the excessive amount of adjective found in the sentence. So what about the first space? Let's go straight to your student book again. We have the first exercise. So what are the first two spaces? It was too cold to take off our coats. Too cold. You see, it's very cold. There's still a possibility that we can take off our coats. So it's too cold, more than we need. We want it to be warm. I was too embarrassed to look. So when the adjective, when we have a lot of something that makes it very difficult to do something, it's too. Not use very. So look at to, complete the sentences with to plus adjective. In all the sentences here we are describing the situation in it. It's very difficult to do something. So I'm not going into the sea. I can't do something. Why? It's too cold to swim. It's time for bed. It's what? So here, of course, we are asked to complete the sentences so that we express the meaning here. So stop here, please. Try to choose the adjectives, which gives me the meaning with to. So what about number 2? It's too late to watch. TV. It's too late. It's very, very late, so that we can't watch TV. So it's time. It's too late. I'm sorry, but the children are too small to write, so they can't do something. It's 40. Today it's too hot to play tennis. At about 5, my brother is too young to join the army. He must wait until he's 18. He's too young. My granddad is too old to play football, but he still enjoys watching it. So you can notice that whenever you have too, it has a negative meaning because it means that you can't do something. Okay, so this is the meaning of too with adjectives. What about the second part? Not adjective plus enough, or the adjective with enough. What do we mean by the use of this? Again, we have this exercise and we can explain the use of adjective with enough in your student book, page 107. So again, go straight to page 107. So when do we use not and enough, or adjective plus enough? My sister can take my dad's car. She's old enough to drive is affirmative. And negative, can you write the date on the board? I'm not tall enough to write. So remember, we use to when we have a lot or more than needed. Now we say we not enough. The adjective is not enough when we have less than we need. We often use not, adjective enough, to say something is less than we want or need. I'm not old enough. It's not too old. If I say I'm too old, it means more than needed. But I'm not old enough, it means I'm less than I need. I'm not old enough to see that film. Enough goes after the adjective, so it's not like too. Too before the adjective, enough after the adjective. It's cold enough to snow. It isn't cold enough to snow. It isn't enough cold. No. So in cold enough, we can use to, like the case in to plus adjective after not adjective enough. It isn't warm enough to go swimming. So it isn't warm enough, or it is too warm to what? To do what? So where's the problem? To go swimming. It's not for swimming. So look here at the examples. Complete the sentence with to adjective or not adjective enough. Use the adjectives in the brackets. So if you say that the adjective is more than needed, use to. If you say that the adjective is less than you need, use enough after the adjective. So look at the first example. The tree is to climb. So it means that you can't climb it, so you need it to be less. You need it to be less. It's more than needed, so here you use it's too high to climb. My friends are to see that film. You must be 18. You must be 18. So you are not old enough. You must be 18 at least. So you need more of the adjective. You are not old enough. I'm to see the band from here. Can we go over there? So there's a problem. That's why we can't see. Here's the problem of your height. So I'm not tall enough. I'm not tall enough. Here's a problem. I need to be more. To have more of the adjective, it means to be taller. Number 4, the coffee is to drink at the moment. It's too hot to drink at the moment. We want it, it's hot more than we need. So we will wait for it to be colder. Of course, number 5 and 6, not good enough and too slow. So let's go straight to your student book again. page 89. So here's the first table taken from the conversation. The first one, that the test was easy enough for everyone to pass. So everyone could pass the exam, the test. One of the little monkeys wasn't tall enough to get to the table. So tall enough. That's why we need more to be taller. Okay, what about number 4? Here we have the same practice. Complete the adjective with not or enough after the adjective, and the adjectives in brackets. You can't go to that disco because you old to get in. So you can't. So you are not old enough. You aren't old enough. We don't need to go by car because it is close enough. We didn't need more of the adjective, so it is close enough. We don't need more. It's close enough. It's not. It isn't far. So that's why we use it in affirmative. Number 4, in the same way, you mustn't go in the water because to swim. You mustn't go because it isn't safe. If it's safe enough, you can go. But now, it isn't safe enough. Of course, in the same way is number 5 and number 6. Okay, what about get it right? Use to before the adjective. I'm too young to see the film. Use enough after the adjective. I'm not old enough. So, to before the adjective, enough after the adjective. Choose the correct words to complete the sentences. Of course, we should recognize the difference between to and enough. If you want less of the adjective, use to. If you want more of the adjective, use enough. So don't go in the sea. It's too dangerous to swim today. You can't move that box on your own. You are not. So you can't. So there's something which is not enough. So that's why you are not strong enough. First, think of these sentences. Stop here. Think about the 6 sentences. After you finish, of course, here are all the answers. Okay, what about exercise 6? Now, order the words to make questions. Ice cream too cold is eat it an. Is it too cold to eat an ice cream? Have tired go out you to be ever. So here's number 2. Have you ever been too tired to go out? Too tired to go out. What about 3? You were hungry. Too big breakfast enough? Have. Of course, you should look for the adjective, and of course you can or you know where to put too or enough. Were you hungry enough to have a big breakfast? So in the same way, please stop here. Try to order the rest of the questions. And of course, after you try by yourself, here are all the questions. Okay? So what about your workbook? Of course, in your workbook, this is page 80. As usual, we start with the rules for to adjective. Number 2, put the words in order to make sentences. Make sentences with to, of course. Again, in number 3, here we have the rules with adjective with enough. And number 4, complete the sentences with the adjective in the box, of course, with enough. Of course, enough is after the adjective. That's why you can see enough after the space, after the adjective. What about number 5? Rewrite the sentences with the opposite adjectives and to or enough. So in this exercise, we need to decide which one do we need to use. Is it to or enough? If we want a weaker adjective, if we want to say that we have more than needed, this is to. If you want to say that we have less than needed, so use enough. You weren't early enough to see the start of that football match. You weren't early enough, so you want to be more early or earlier. Okay, so choose to or enough and make sentences. What about the last one? Making nouns from verbs. Of course, this is taken from the reading text on Unit 8. So go straight, complete the second sentence so it has a similar meaning to the first. Of course, making the nouns from verbs. This is to make the verb ing as a gerund. Of course, we had this earlier. It's easy to send photos. Instead of saying it's easy to send, so sending photos. So complete the 5 sentences. Of course, next time we will be together to do these exercises. This is, of course, again, page 80, and all of them are homework. Thank you.